Proclamation of the Plejaren Committee. The flying devices called UFOs by the human beings of Earth have nothing to do whatsoever with us Plejaren and our flying devices. The flying devices of the strangers, as well as the incidents of any kind concerning them, which have arisen or will continue to arise in connection with both the flying objects and the strangers themselves, have nothing to do with us Plejaren. We Plejaren have in no form interfered in any earthly events, nor will we ever interfere, whatever may happen. We Plejaren will not therefore interfere in any earthly matters, happenings, or occurrences that may arise in the future, also not in any regard or another concerning the strangers and their UFO flying devices. Complementary to the above proclamation of the Plejaren Committee, Safar, the twin brother of Swat, made the following statement on August the 29th, 2023. Safar, however, what I now have to explain with regard to your question is that we Plejaren, and indeed already our earliest ancestors, have remained here on earth because foresighted ones have recognized that in the far future, the human beings here on this world will get very badly out of the control of the good human nature, and indulge in belief in gods and all evil, hatred, killing, revenge, persecution, and wars, and thus murdering and so forth, as has already been the case with our peoples of times, whose most distant future peoples only found true peace some 50,000 years ago, according to the earthly calendar, which had already been striven for over millions of years through the efforts of righteous people and their successors and successors and successors and so forth. And then this finally became reality. The beginning was not easy because there were still no human beings who really knew how true peace had to be created, formed, and handled. Later, however, this changed when humans and human-like beings developed naturally into beings of peace. We Plejaren, however, do not come to Earth to make contact with Earth's human beings, and, in fact, we do not want anything from them, just as we do not want to make contact with the strangers, as we call them, but we only come here because you teach and spread the teaching of Nokodemion, which has been established since time immemorial to Earth human beings. To do something like this was already decided some 25 million years ago by our distant ancestors of that time. Indeed, even though they themselves had succumbed to the same evils as later the human beings on this world of Earth did. But the righteous ones of the peoples of that time already determined the becoming of the mission of this world in this stern universe some 25 million years ago. And the decision of that time actually endured for 25 million years. However, more than 50,000 years ago, the resolution that had survived until then was taken up, and it was decided that the request that had been made at that time should now be put into practice, and consequently everything was prepared such that that which had been decided could come about. Then everything was arranged the exact moment that the intended mission could begin, and thus the teaching of truth, teaching of the creation energy, teaching of life could find its beginning on this world, which means the real life of the human being, the way he should follow, and the value he should develop in himself and become a truthfully human being. Further explanation by Ptaah from October the 10th, 2023, 866 contact report. Ptaah: firstly, I want to say that it is quite obviously very important that it should be specifically mentioned again, openly and really clearly clarified that we are not connected with the strangers who have been observed and seen for many years with so-called UFOs in the earthly airspace by the Earth's human beings. We effectively do not have the slightest to do either with the strangers or with their UFOs. Consequently, we maintain also no contact of any kind with the strangers who navigate these flying machines, nor do we otherwise have a liaison with these. In Hinwil, when the first contact with my daughter Semjase took place, it was recorded by her as a result of actualities that had taken place, that very serious attempts were made by various sectarians to persuade Billy to urge us Plejaren to testify and admit that we were God's messengers and therefore to bring certain earth persons to error in order to be able to live in the kingdom of God itself and with Jesus Christ. Anna and Carl Veit were the first persons to appear in this form who were connected with the press organ UFO Nachrichten, and who also personally approached Billy, as did various other persons as well. In the course of all the years since the establishment of the contacts, our permanent records registered 41 incidents of this kind so far, in which case, without exception, requests were brought forward to be allowed to get in contact with us or to be taken to our world, as was the case with Anna and Carl Veit, obviously for fanatic religious reason. Further, I want to mention that also elsewhere incidents of fanatic believing human beings and their kind of belief were registered by our apparatuses, also in a similar framework with threats against Billy's life and limb, about which, however, he kept silent, as we have clarified most carefully. Various believers of diverse religious communities tried partly very intensively to get in contact with us through him, as also attempts were made to attribute ideologies to us which were absolutely and completely unrealistic illusions and extremely confusing, for example, concerning alleged spirits and so forth. In this form or another, other persons also appeared, who offered Billy large sums of money, which were supposed to oblige him to question us concerning certain technical things and knowledge, as well as in particular concerning space travel and radiation weapons, as well as their systems. However, these were not only individuals, but several times there were 2 or 3. Once there were even 9 persons from America, after which they committed suicide together with others, as some others of a group in Europe also did, and only because their nonsensical demand was rejected. Others again tried to achieve their wishes with the help of courts and by lying and deception, according to which many things were negatively affected. However, all of them, without exception, were believers belonging to religious communities such as members of the Catholic Church, such as members of the Catholic Church and the Evangelical Church, as well as Methodists, Evangelicals of America, Mormons, Church of the Kingdom of God, Church of Christ, Heaven's Gate of America, Mennonites, New Apostolic Church, Bhagwan Rajneesh Movement, Ananda Marga, and others. Some others committed suicide in connection with our appearance here at the center or in the surrounding area. What has been said is indeed important, which is why I mention it, so that it is understood what also arises behind the scenes around our presence here, and what Billy also has to deal with. Then Bernadette Brandt, secretary of the FIGU, wrote further explanation on September the 3rd, 2023. She wrote the following: concerning the proclamation of the Plejaren Committee mentioned at the beginning, as well as the declarations of Svar and Ptaah, it is to be added that these became necessary because again and again questions are raised whether seen or sometimes also filmed or photographed objects had been Plejaren objects, beamships, UFOs, etc. This can, as we have known for some time, be denied categorically. As a rule, these are objects from foreign extraterrestrials or test-flying objects of terrestrial manufacture. According to the unanimous statements of all Plejaren, they consistently keep away from the Earth's human beings as well as from other extraterrestrials, which they call the strangers, and who have been active in the terrestrial space for tens of thousands of years. If in the past sightings and recordings of Plejaren persons or spaceships were made, then this was with quite isolated exceptions, which came about for the witnesses through lucky causal foreordination, exclusively because the Plejaren wanted to create evidence for their presence and consciously permitted or allowed these sightings. Beyond that, neither sightings nor contacts with any Earth human beings or other extraterrestrials took place, who are neither able to locate the Plejaren nor can they make contact with them. The explanation for the contacts of the Plejaren with Billy Edward Albert Meyer is based exclusively on the fact that he is the carrier of the some 1,000 million years old Nicodemean creation energy form, which has an extremely large and deep knowledge concerning the creation energy teaching, in which the Plejaren are interested, because this teaching has been taught to them for millions of years. So that's about it. So the Plejaren have nothing to do with whom they call the strangers, the different groups that might be seen here with their UFOs, or maybe there even have been some contact, who knows. The Plejaren have nothing to do with them. And if there should be any problems in the future, whatever kind, they don't want to be that people think that they're involved with that. The Plejaren mission is that the creation energy teaching spread on this planet, and that's also the main reason for this channel. And and they're very interested, of course, because Billy has such deep knowledge that even exceeds their knowledge, and so they're, of course, he's their friend, and they visit him to talk to him and learn from him. And That's basically it. There's not much more to it. And they don't interfere. Even if we should destroy ourselves, then that is our business, you know. But they give us the tools that this doesn't have to happen, that we even could create permanent peace on this planet. But therefore, more people have to start critical thinking and really learn to think for themselves and not just parrot whatever information they're given. Yeah. So, and don't be afraid of the propaganda that's started now and will become worse and worse over the years and decades concerning extraterrestrials and Plejaren. Yeah, it's mainly propaganda, and military wants to profit, of course, from building new weapon systems and so on. If there were ever an attack, a serious attack, not a false flag attack, a real attack from any of these groups, I doubt that we could do anything against it. They would just walk in wherever they wanted to and take over the power centers of the world. But so far they had no interest, and I doubt that they do now, you know. But we'll see. So don't worry so much, and the Plejaren are here to help. If we accept that help, that's mainly it, you know. And we have to change, you know, not them. Okay, that's it.